Can you type in the chat saying that you can hear? Um, okay, yeah. All right, great. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming, for joining us tonight. My name is Pei Han. I'm from Malaysia. And we tonight I think we have a mixture of audience. We have some from Singapore, some from Malaysia. Um, my presentation really is more geared towards Malaysian situation, but I think a lot of it probably those in Singapore can relate to as well. So later we'll talk a little bit more about it. So tonight, what we want to talk about is water purifier. I think now in Singapore there are many households that are also starting to install water purifier. And in Malaysia, it's a must. It's a necessity. It's not luxury. And that's why it's very important for us when we go out and do a market survey and so on, for us to really find out, yeah, how to choose, how to identify the right water purifier for you, and what are the common sales uh, techniques out there that we might want to try to avoid someone. And there are so many technologies out in the market. For example, ultrafiltration, reverse osmosis, or even alkaline water, or even some people are just looking for hot and cold water, right? And what are the pros and cons of all this? And tonight we will talk a little bit more about it. Okay. And of course, am I carrying any brand tonight? Yes, I'm carrying the brand that I carry is called eSpring. Right. We have just launched our new eSpring in September last month. And and while telling you a little bit more about the brand that we carry, at the same time, I will also tell you about some of the common brands that you hear in the market. Can you type in the chat, right? What are the common brands that you always hear? The water purifier brands that you always hear in your market, be it Malaysia, Singapore, Kobe. Okay, awesome. Kobe. What else? Anything else? Oh, Stera. Okay, okay. Stera is pretty big in Singapore, right? Yep, yep. Novita. Okay. Cuckoo. Okay. Great. SK as in SK Magic, is it? Trident. Oh, Trident is something that I've not done research on. But after you've learned about the principles tonight and the tools that you can use to identify the different brands tonight, you should be able to go back to the resources available online to check on any brand that you wish to check. Okay, so tonight let's start. Without further ado, let me begin my presentation. If you can see my slides, please let me know in the chat group. Say yes in the chat group. Yes, no, maybe. Okay, great. So without further ado, let's start. Okay. Uh, okay, all right. So later, hopefully, we'll have a little bit of time for Q&A. And okay. Later, we'll have a little bit of time for Q&A. So if you have any questions, you can save till the end to let us know. Okay. Next, let me start. Okay, so my name is Pei Han. I've been in the water treatment as well as air purifier distributing industry for more than 15 years, and I've been in water and air training for more than 10 years now. Done training in almost all the states all around Malaysia and also Singapore as well as Brunei. So these are some of the trainings that I did before. And during pandemic, because we cannot have physical training, I also did quite a number of online training, and each of these videos are viewed by thousands and thousands of people throughout Malaysia, Singapore, and Brunei. And of course, after about 5 years, in starting this year, we finally managed to resume again our physical training, and this is one of the bigger size training that I did last 2 months ago in August. This was done in PJ in Malaysia, and in a hall there were 350 people. And also it was a hybrid session plus online. We also broadcast on Zoom. There were about 1,000 people dialed in. So that session was 1,350 people. And throughout my experience in the water and air industry, I find that there are actually many in this area, this part of the world, there are many statements that can be misleading, that can be for people who are not well versed with the industry, with the technology and so on, they can be easily misled into the marketing gimmicks and so on. So tonight we're gonna talk a little bit more about it. And most importantly, I'm also a user myself, correct? So now if you want to use a water purifier, of course, we need to believe in it wholeheartedly. And if I'm distributing it, that means I also have to use it. That means it better be the best unit that I know amongst all the market brands that I can see. So I will share with you also from a user's perspective towards the end. Okay. So tonight, let's start the chat. Yeah. Is your drinking water safe? The water that you get from your tap looks clear, tastes fine. However, it may contain contaminants such as lead, pesticide, PFOA, PFOS, pharmaceuticals, and so on and so forth. Why? Because these contaminants has no taste and has no color. So anything that you get from the tap, it looks clear. However, it may contain a lot of different things, nasty things inside. Now, in Malaysia, I'm not sure about Singapore, but in Malaysia, right? From time to time you have water outage, like they stop the water. Why? Because of river contamination, right? Because the river is contaminated, the water source is contaminated, so they are forced to uh close down the water filtration plant. But the question that I think we want to ask is, if the water filtration plant really can filter these contaminants, why when there's a contamination happen at the river, at the water source, then the water plant has to close down? The reality is there are many contaminants that may not be that the water filtration plant may not be able to handle, right? May not be able to handle. Plus, uh, there are many more that we'll talk about that later. Yeah. All right, so each time when there's a diesel or toxic waste, the treatment plant will be brought to a halt to prevent further damage. And actually, according to experts, Malaysia's water treatment plants are not equipped with the facilities to treat contaminants. In Singapore, you have to figure out yourself, right? Later, we'll talk a little bit more about it. This is a few hundred meters away from the water inlet, from the spot where the water treatment plant in Malaysia take collect water for processing. And before that, they need to filter out all the dirty things on the river, right? Before they collect the water. So they actually put a huge filter, like a net out there. You can see a lot of stuff that are collected over time. So the water that passes through this pile of rubbish, then they will collect and then filter and then provide us with drinking water. So you can see it's actually not very it's a bit is not very safe lah. Okay, let's say that after the water coming out from the water filtration plant, let's say that it's clean. Let's assume that it's clean. However, before it reaches our home, it has to go through many different areas. For example, it has to go through piping. It has to go into a water tank to be stored in a water tank, and then after that, they only reach our house. Now, if the water tank is not washed regularly, is not cleaned regularly, and if the piping is not changed regularly, this might be something that you see, right, in that area. And I always ask my customer or friends, right, when was the last time you cleaned a water tank in your house? When was the last time you changed the pipeline in the whole house? And most of the people, they answer, huh, have to wash one, have to change one. So they don't even know, right? So uh if it's been more than 5 years that you haven't changed your piping or clean the water tank, chances are the water condition may be slightly contaminated. But in Malaysia, right? In Malaysia, we bring the water contamination to the next level. What happened is, in Malaysia, it happened before, is that in a condo, the water tank, they found that there was a dead body inside the water tank. Okay. And then when they found out, it was only when the residents of that condo discovered that the water tastes funny and smells funny, that they report to the authority. Then the authority went and find out. Then only they saw that there's a dead body in the water tank. Okay, and I think oh, really? Singapore HDB also have similar case. So I don't know about your place, but in Malaysia, right? yeah, people do go in for adventure, and 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 it happens, right? Yeah. And some drank and bathed with the water for 5 days. Now, so this for people who live in a high-rise building, in condominium, in apartment, in HDB, probably think that, yeah, so I kena. But those who live in landed property say, oh, luckily my water is direct pipeline that comes straight to the house. It doesn't go through any tank. But in any area, right, there is always a big water tank that provides to that particular area. Okay, so this is what happened in Negeri Sembilan in Malaysia again, and in that big water tank that supply water to that area, they found that there's a dead body inside. And then what happens is the person that they found has been missing for 8 months. Ah, that means they've been enjoying this kind of water um, probably for more than 10 years. For more than half a year, for more than half a year. So yeah, it's scary. And today, right, if you go to any of the water tank that you can see, do you see a security guard there 24/7 stopping people from entering? No, right? So do people enter? Yes, they do. And not actually there are many people enter, and but the ones that we know, only those who have drowned and died inside the water tank. Now I tell you, dead body you can see on the front page of the news, right? However, can you see any news if there's a dead rat, dead cockroach, dead lizard, a dead bird, dead cat? Will it appear, will the news appear on the newspaper? Probably not. But does it happen? Most probably, most probably it does. So today, having a water purifier is not just it's not a luxury, it is a necessity. Okay, it is a necessity. So a lot of things can happen in the water tank if it's not taken care of properly. On the right, you can see a bunch of monkeys bathing, and on the left is when they're cleaning the water tank, they open up and look at the inside of it. It is pretty scary. Okay, so these are the water tanks condition in some of the areas if it's not properly maintained, right? Rusty and muddy and all that stuff. Okay. Now, but to know that whether your house condition is okay or not, it's very simple. Just go to your water tap, open up the cap, and then poke your finger in. Chances are you dig something, you find something, you discover something. This is my house. I open up the cap, I can see a bunch of stuff that are stuck here, that are captured here by the diffuser of the water aerator. Including some little stones, and including some plastics, and including something that looks like seaweed. I'm not sure what it is, but it is scary. It is scary. So everybody can go back to your house and just take a look, right? Actually, on the left, right, is tap water from my home that I've expanded 30 times and took a video. You can see that a lot of things are floating, right? You can see a lot of things are floating. On the right, you can see that it's totally dark, pitch black, and nothing is clear, it's nothing. So on the left, right, is unfiltered water, tap water, even though with your naked eye it looks clear. However, there are actually a lot of things are floating. On the right, it's actually filtered water, right? Those that are filtered, it can be very different. Now, in the recent years, there are many new contaminants that occur around us that becomes a big concern. And tonight, I would like to share with you three upcoming the new kids on the block in terms of contaminants. Number one that I want to share with you is so these are the things that you want to look at when you go and survey on your water purifiers. Okay, the first one that you want to look at is microplastic. What is microplastic? If the plastic stuff that we use every day, when you throw it out, it doesn't disappear immediately. For example, the bottled water that you use, that bottle, right? The plastic bottle, mineral water bottle, it takes 450 years for it to totally disintegrated. Okay, and when you throw it to the nature, what happens is it will slowly weaken and weaken and weaken. It will break down into small pieces. If it becomes smaller than 5 millimeter, then it is defined as microplastics. It is small enough, right? And microplastics, when it's very, very small, when it's small enough, it is light enough to float along with vapor and form part of the clouds. And it will be brought to everywhere in the world, and it will follow the rainwater to come down and and go to many different places. That's why even places where there are very few people uh, ever gone to, for example, the peak of Mount Everest, right? You can still find traces of microplastics because it's everywhere. They follow the clouds everywhere that rains, it will be there. And that is why in many places, even though they might think that the water source is very safe, however, contaminants can happen, can appear in the places that you least expected it to be. Okay. Now, what is the danger of microplastics? As it enters our body, it gives us something that we call EDC, endocrine disrupting chemicals. This contaminant, as it enters our body, it will confuse our hormonal system, and it will cause our body to go haywire. And the immediate issues that it will bring is it will increase the risk of hypertension, increase our blood pressure. It will increase the risk of diabetes, right? And then it will increase the risk of infertility, right? And many other issues. So that's why you may have friends who are like this, who try very hard every night, working hard, OT, overtime, to try to make babies. However, after trying for many, many years, still cannot have babies. And when they go for medical checkup, everything seems normal. If that is the case, there's a big chance that maybe because the environment is polluted. Okay? And this is news that came out a few months ago. They found that any of the males, right? They actually did a survey on males that has erectile dysfunction, means the males that cannot stand up, lah. Males that have erectile dysfunction, out of 5 male that they find out that they do survey on, 4 of them actually they found that there are traces of microplastics in their sex organ, right? And not only they found it in their human penis, they also found microplastics in semen, in testes, and so on. Okay, so all the men, you need to look seriously into this. If your water purifier cannot work on microplastics, is not certified to work on microplastics, then performance, you may not be performing to your full potential. Okay, put it this way. And another major source of microplastic is actually bottled water. Okay, bottled water. So how does microplastic coming from bottled water? It mainly come from the cap and from the bottle itself. Most of the mineral water bottle are designed for one-time use, but many people after finishing the mineral water, they will reuse it and reuse it and reuse it, and slowly these plastics will degrade and microplastics will leach into the water. And the other source of microplastic is when you open and close the cap. Okay, when you open and close the cap, there's friction. So there are some microplastic that will drop inside. And as the more times you open and close, the more microplastics will drop in the water bottle. So minimize your usage of water bottle is also very important in reducing microplastics from entering your life. Okay. And that is why you need a good water purifier, because with good water purifier and with a good, let's say, glass bottle or stainless steel bottle, then you can eliminate the use of microplastics, of plastic bottles. And this is what happened in Malaysia. They have done survey in Perak, in Terengganu. They found that what they do is they just go and get tap water and then they test for microplastics. What they found that all the water samples, 100% of all the water samples that they collected, all consist of microplastics. So it is that bad, right? And then in Malaysia also, they have done a survey whereby they look for 8 major bottled water brands in Malaysia, and they went and do a check for microplastics, and they found that again all water samples consist of microplastics. All brand carries microplastics with them. Okay. um so I would imagine it is not too different from all over the world. In fact, there was one survey that was also done a few years ago on 259 different brands. all over the world. And they found that up to 93% of these bottled waters contain microplastics. And mind you, Singapore is one of the biggest consumer of bottled water in the world. Okay. On average, and a Singaporean spend 1,200 Singapore dollars on bottled waters. So yeah, try to cut down that. Try to install a good water purifier so that you can be away from it. And that is why in Malaysia, for those in Malaysia will have to pay attention now. Malaysia, there's a survey that came out a few months ago, and that highlighted that what they did was they checked 109 different countries all over the world, and it turns out that Malaysia is number one in the world when it comes to microplastic consumption. On average per day, a Malaysian consume 500 milligram of microplastics. That means 1 month is about 15 grams of microplastic. What does that mean? That means if you go and tapao, go and buy rice, food, they give you a little plastic spoon, right? 15 gram means 15 pieces of that plastic spoon. So each Malaysian on average consume 15 grams of plastics, 15 plastic spoons. And in Singapore, right? In Singapore, I don't know. I would not comment because Singapore is not one of the 109 countries that they surveyed on. Okay. And even with the bottled water survey, they didn't survey on the bottled waters in Singapore. But however, I cannot imagine it to be too much different from other countries because microplastics that's in the water, that's in the ocean, they don't know the border. They won't say, oh, okay, now we are in Malaysian water. Good. We will go around freely. Hey, wait, this is Singapore water. We cannot go. We just stay in Malaysia. It doesn't work that way, right? So you will know that if your neighboring country has problem, then maybe it will one day come to you, right? Have you done any comparison between eSpring and Clean Sui? Clean Sui. No, I have not done a comparison between eSpring and Clean Sui, but we can, certainly with tonight's information, you can do a proper comparison after this, right? Yeah, later we'll talk about that. So, so microplastic is one thing. Okay, number two, the second new kids on the block when it comes to contaminant that we want to be aware of is pharmaceuticals. That means um, medicine in your water. How come medicine can appear in our drinking water? When we go to hospital and doctor give us medicine, we take the medicine, our body don't absorb 100%. So what happens is some of these that our body that don't absorb, it will come out from our body through urine, through poop, through feces, through the toilet, and then it will go back to nature. As it go back to nature, it will follow the water pathway and it will find its way back to our household. And in Malaysia, currently, there's no water filtration plant and there's no water filtration system that can handle pharmaceuticals in the water. Okay, and also there'll be areas where they rear cow, goat, chicken, duck, and so on, right? What they do is they feed all these animal with antibiotics. Okay, some may be injected with growth hormone, I don't know. And all these pharmaceuticals, again, it will go back to nature, it will come back to us, right? And even for those who have young little kids, what they do is when your kid having fever, you give them liquid form of medicine, right? Paracetamol, liquid form. So once they drink from the cup, uh, then what you do is that little cup you go and wash, rinse at the tap, right? So some of the remnants in the cup again will go back to the nature. Sooner or later, it will come back and look for us. So pharmaceutical in the water now becoming a more and more alarming and more concerning issues. And this is what they do, a survey that they did in Putrajaya in Malaysia. Okay. And again, what they do is just they went to get water sample from tap, and then they found out that each and every water sample that they collected all consists of pharmaceuticals, all consists of medicine. And Putrajaya is probably the most well-planned township in Malaysia, right? And if it even happens to Putrajaya, I cannot imagine all the other parts of Malaysia. Okay. And what are the common what are the pharmaceuticals that you can possibly find in water. There are many, including blood pressure medication, including painkiller, including estrogen, like female hormone. That's why, now some of the even guys, younger generation, they are very emo and they are very, um, antibiotic birth control medication. You see, birth control medication. That's why some people maybe on medical checkup, everything looks okay, but they cannot conceive for some reason. And they even find cocaine in the water. In the future, maybe you drink that water, you get high already, right? And again, a lot of antibiotics and so on. I think many of us now realize that your gut microbiome, the good bacteria in your gut is very, very important. So what you do is you take probiotic supplements, right? After you take probiotic supplements, then you drink water with antibiotics. Hang back to square one, right? So a lot of issues that can happen from here. So in the future, some people joke that in the future, right? You don't need when you go see doctor, they won't give you medicine anymore. They say, oh, fever, okay, go home, drink tap water, drink 2 glasses 3 times a day, settle. Why? Because in the water already got medicine. So it is that bad. Okay. And now the known issue that pharmaceuticals in the water will introduce to us is skin and eye irritation, dizziness, nausea, headache, cardiovascular risk, and so on. However, the long-term issue, let's say just now we showed 19 different pharmaceuticals, right? A cocktail of 19 different pharmaceuticals, what is the long-term effect? I can guarantee you that nobody can tell you. Nobody can tell you because nobody will be able to do a survey that find out the interaction between 19 different types of pharmaceuticals. So logically speaking, you don't want any of this in your water. Not having it better than having it. Does that make sense? Yeah, I'm sure you agree with me. So the water purifier that you look for also needs to be certified to be able to filter not only microplastics and also filter pharmaceuticals. Okay, the brand that we are carrying that I'd like to tell you tonight is we call it the new eSpring. The previous version of eSpring is certified to filter 9 different types of pharmaceuticals. The new ones, the new eSpring that we just launched, is certified to filter 19 different types of pharmaceuticals and is certified by third-party independent body, which is very, very important. Later, we'll tell you a little bit more about it. The third water pollution, water contaminants that I want to introduce to you is called PFAS, perfluoroalkyl and polyfluoroalkyl substances. Okay, and any material that is water resistant, that is oil resistant, that is heat resistant, more often than not, they use PFAS to produce, including raincoats, electronics, fire retardant foams, fast food containers, non-stick cookware, and so on and so forth. Okay, and actually, we have been using this since the 1940s, and so you'll find many products around you that consist of this chemical, and therefore when you throw this away, when it goes to the nature again, it goes into the water. PFAS is actually a cluster, a family of over 4,700 types of chemicals. Okay, 4,700 types of chemicals. The scientists call it the forever chemical because why? Because the half-life of PFAS, that means for it from 100% to degrade down to 50%, it takes 8 years plus. If it's 8 years plus, right, it already has enough time to go in and out of our household countless number of times. So that's why this forever chemical, the only way to do it is to remove it from our water or not introducing it at all into our water. That's why there are certain countries that starting to ban these substances. However, not in Malaysia yet, yeah. And we don't even have regulation to regulate this yet. And the situation in Malaysia is very serious now because back in 2004, they already find in blood samples of Malaysian found PFAS related chemicals. And in the year 2008, they found from Penang, breast milk samples from Penang consists of PFAS related chemical, and the concentration is 6 to 17 times higher than safety level. Then in Sungai Langat, back in 2012, in Sungai Langat is a river that provides drinking water to over 6 million people in the Klang Valley area. They found that the river water consists of PFAS related chemical and many times higher than safety level. So again, I have to say that, the water doesn't know border, right? If it happens in neighboring country, chances are it may find its way to enter your country as well. So and the known problems that PFAS brought to us are thyroid disease, increased cholesterol level, liver damage, kidney cancer, testicular cancer, and low birth weight, and so on and so forth. And those that you see in dotted line are suspected that PFAS, the problem at PFAS that will bring, they will need more time to establish the proper linkage. But these are the issues of our contaminations can bring to us. And today, maybe when we were young, all this is not such a big concern yet. But today, imagine a baby. Before the baby was even born, when the baby was in the womb, he or she is already enjoying these contaminants since before he was even born. So it is really important that we have a water purifier that can filter, again, microplastics, pharmaceuticals, and PFAS. Okay, and that brings us to our water purifier, the new eSpring. Now, our company has been involved in the water treatment industry, water purifying industry for 40 years now, since 1984. And every time that we come up with a new model, we have a world number one, world first. For example, when we came out in Malaysia, the first model that we sell is in 1992. We call it the WTS1. This is the first WTS water treatment system that combined activated carbon and UV lamp. Okay, one of the first in the world. And WTS2 that came out in year 2000 is the first WTS water treatment system that combined activated carbon, UV lamp, and monitoring system. Okay, and today, even today, you can still see many brands that do not have a monitoring system. Yeah, and back in 2000, we are already doing it. And this is eSpring is the one that both Singapore and Malaysia know lah, right? And it comes with e-couple technology. That means wireless electric transmission technology. This is the first large electrical appliance that really use this technology and be mass produced to the market. And today, what we want to tell you is our new eSpring. This is the first water purifier in the world that has UVC LED technology. That means it uses LED technology to disinfect the water and being certified by NSF to be effective. Okay, number one in the world. So today, when you look at your water purifier, don't only look at the certification and the brochure or the website. You really want to look at whether it has a third party independent body certification or not, right? Okay. Now, eSpring has been the world number one selling brand since the year 2009. And since the year 2021, the sale of eSpring worldwide has exceeded 10 million units. So now it's in the 10 millions. The sale is still ongoing. Okay. So tonight, what I want to introduce to you is a brand that is world number one in terms of sales. So no matter what brand that you see outside that claim that they're number one in this market, that market, and so on, you need to know that world number one brand in the world is eSpring. Okay. Now let's take a look at their filtering technology. Just now we talked about several different contamination, and today let's talk about how clean the water purifier can provide to you the clean water. So for eSpring, the filtering process is divided into two parts. One is the E3 carbon filter. They're using an activated carbon filter to filter. The number two, the second part is the UVC LED to disinfect the water. Okay. Now let's take a look at the E3 carbon filter. Our E3 carbon filter can filter over 170 types of contaminants, including microplastics, PFAS, pharmaceuticals, and many other things that we talked about just now. Plus, at the same time, it retains beneficial minerals in the water, including calcium, magnesium, and fluoride, which is essential for your health. So, there are three layers. The first layer is called the pre-filter in this particular filter, and it filters the bigger size contaminants, right? Filter away. And this particular filter can last for 5,000 liter or 1 year, whichever comes first. Okay, 5,000 liter or 1 year. And then second layer is Defense Guard. Is a It can filter finer contaminants down to 0.4 micron. It can filter microplastics, asbestos, pathogens, and so on. Okay, it will improve the water clarity. The third layer is our activated carbon block filter. Two layers cannot filter will be filtered by carbon block filter. This filter can filter down to 0.2 micrometer. What is 0.2 micrometer? It is very, very fine. If you pluck a strand of hair, you put it straight, you have to cut 300 times. 300 times for it to reach the size of 0.2 micron. So it is very, very small, so small that your naked eyes cannot see. And that is exactly what we're looking for, right? Contaminants so small that our naked eye cannot see, even though the water seems clean, the contaminant is still in the water. We want a system that can purify even water like that. Okay, so when it comes to carbon filter, you need to look at the carbon filter size. In the middle is the carbon filter of eSpring, and the top and bottom are carbon filter of Xbrand. So you can see that the size of the carbon filter, there's a big difference. So the more amount of material that you use, the more contaminants you can trap. This is simple logic. So if you compare the size, you will know that performance of eSpring is much, much, much better. The amount of contaminant it can trap is much, much, much more than common brands in the market. Okay. Now, again, it keeps the good, takes away the bad, while it keeps the good, calcium, magnesium, and so on. Now, I know that in Singapore, some of you would have heard of the term NEWater, right? NEWater is a recycled water from wastewater using RO technology, and the NEWater typically has no mineral. However, the Singapore government actually choose to mix the NEWater with normal natural water before distributing it to normal household. Because the Singapore water says that the presence of mineral in the water is very important for health and taste. So it's very, very important. Okay. When the Singapore government takes the trouble to really go and make sure that the water has mineral. It is very it is very strange that some people actually choose to install a RO system at their home and to again take away the mineral. Okay, now next, after filtering over 170 different tons of contaminants, then it goes through the UV chamber, right? UV chamber, whereby it can reduce 99.9999% of bacteria, 99.99% of virus, 99.9% of cysts. So this is that means the water that comes out from the water purifier, you don't need to cook or boil the water anymore. Okay, so it is very, very awesome. And how does it kill the bacteria? What it does is it destroys the DNA and RNA of microorganism. So basically, in short, in general terms, is it gives your microorganism cancer. Plus, it makes the microorganism cannot reproduce, cannot function properly, plus cannot reproduce. So that really ends the activity of the microorganism, and as it enters our body, it will not do any harm. And this is one of the very few technology that doesn't leave any remnants in the water while being able to disinfect the water effectively. For example, today, if I talk about chlorine, I put chlorine in the water. Yes, it can disinfect the water. However, there'll be remnants in water, and there'll be some remnants of chlorine in water. And chloramine or silver, for example, is also some people use it as a disinfectant ingredient for water. However, that all this will leave some traces of chemical in the water, which you don't want as well. Okay. Then the last but definitely not least, the water purifier also comes with RFID. That means a smart chip that really tracks how many liters of water you're using and how long have you been using the filter. Now, many brands in the market, right? They only put a date there, and then when the date comes, they will come and service you. It's time to change. They only track the amount of time. However, a household that has 10 people versus a household that has 2 people, the water usage is definitely different. So a proper tracking system when it comes to water purifier, you need to track two things. One is the time, the other one is the amount of water used. That's why in our water treatment system, we say 5,000 liter or 1 year, whichever comes first. And our smart chip will be able to track both. And having a smart chip in a filter give you two advantages. Number one is you will not be able to, people will not be able to provide you with used filters, right? I don't know in Singapore, but in Malaysia, refurbished filters, right? It's not uncommon. Okay. Number two is people will not be able to sell to you pirated or fake or counterfeit filters, and this is also very rampant, especially if you buy online. No matter where you are, it's very likely for you to accidentally purchase a counterfeit unit. But having this RFID technology means that you are protected from it. Okay. Now, it also gives you display and an audible cue. That means beeping to let you know when it's time to change. So it's really you just leave it. You don't need to track of anything. It will let you know when it's time to change the filter. Okay. Plus, it is very versatile. It looks very, very nice. I believe that no matter what kind of furniture or decoration you have at home or the color theme, it will be able to fit and it will be able to match. Okay. And this water purifier also comes with apps. We call it the MA Healthy Home apps. What it does is you will know the usage pattern and how many percent of your filter life is left so that you're prepared when it's near to the expiry of the filter. Okay. If you connect your eSpring to Wi-Fi, no matter where you are, as long as you have access to internet and anywhere in the world, you'll be able to log into your apps and to monitor the status of the water purifier that is in your house. And you'll be able to see the last 7 days, the water usage pattern, how many liters you have used every day. Okay, that's why sometimes when your water purifier, oh, before 1 year is already due, it's time for change. You're curious, then you by looking at the water usage pattern, you will know that maybe you have already used more than 5,000 liter. Okay. And by knowing the water usage pattern, it also comes with a added benefit in the sense that, if your other half say that, hey honey, I'm at home, then you secretly go and check the water usage pattern. If the water usage not much difference, doesn't move at all, chances are maybe nobody is at home. Okay. Okay, now this is the most important part of our presentation, in my opinion. This upcoming section is that when you go and do survey, when you go and ask around all the other salespeople, all the different brands, whatever that they say is great, is good, you get the information. But after that, you need to do your own homework. That means you need to go and check whether all the claims that they do are certified by third-party independent body or not. In Malaysia, any electrical appliances will need to go through a safety test called SIRIM, SIRIM. You need to have that logo in order to prove that this is safe to use. And in Singapore, I believe that there's also a safety mark for the electronics or electrical appliances. So when it comes to water purifier, it is NSF and WQA. Okay, NSF and WQA. NSF is National Sanitation Foundation International. One of its major functions is to help World Health Organization as well as various governments in the world to set water quality standards for their government, for that area, for WHO, and so on. Plus, at the same time, they also establish testing standards, like they come up with test questions, right? That people use to test on water purifiers. They are the one who set the standards. Okay. And WQA is Water Quality Association. That means anybody that's involved in water related industry. Today I'm producing bottled water, I can join WQA as a member. Today I'm producing water dispenser, I can join WQA as a member. Today I produce water purifier, I can join WQA as a member. And if you get a gold seal from WQA, that means even your peers, they all recognize that your unit, the brand that you're distributing is very, very good in terms of performance. Okay, even those who are in the industry will know. Our unit comes with added benefit is halal certified. That means any Muslim friends that are using it will have no problems. Okay. Now, our eSpring comes with 4 NSF certification. So again, I want to tell you is Malaysia It's quite bole lah. So a lot of things that you see on the brochure, you see on the website, you can only believe half of it, until and unless it is you found that it is certified by uh, bodies like NSF, like WQA. Okay, so it is very important, and brands do overclaim. Okay, they do overclaim. If you really go and check, later we can check some of the brands that you're curious about. Okay, and the first standard that our eSpring have is NSF 42. It says aesthetic contaminants. What does it mean? That means anything that you can taste the taste, you can see the color, the unit can filter away. Any contaminants that you can see the color, you can taste the taste, the water purifier can filter away. That means any unit that has certification 42, that has NSF 42, the water that comes up from it will taste normal, will taste good, will make people want to drink their water. Simple, right? So standard 53 is health effects contaminants. That means any contaminant that doesn't have color, that doesn't have taste, it can filter away, and it affects the health one. It affects your health. It can filter away. So if you compare 53 to 42, 53 is actually more important because it affects your health. These are the contaminants that affects your health, okay, including your PFAS, okay, and so on. And standard 55 is a unit with UV. Any unit that comes with ultraviolet light, they need to have an NSF 55 certification. If not, the UV light is very similar to light on a Christmas tree. It's for decoration purpose. It doesn't do much to water. Okay. And again, I want to stress that our eSpring water purifier is the world number one, the first brand in the world that has standard 45 certification when it comes to ultraviolet LED technology. Okay, there are many brands in the market now you see that say that they have UV light for disinfection. However, I want to stress that the UV light that you find in most other brands in the market is not to be used to disinfect the water. Typically, the UV light that you see only at the nozzle part is not to use to disinfect water. It is used to disinfect the nozzle. Okay, it doesn't do anything to the water. And standard 401. Standard 401, that means again, new kids on the block, emerging contaminants, right? Including your microplastics, including your pharmaceuticals, and so on. So you need to have this certification in order to prove that you can filter not only the old type of contaminants, but the recent ones also can handle. Okay, so any unit that do not have 401, you will know that it cannot handle microplastics, cannot handle pharmaceuticals. It don't have 53, you already know that it cannot handle PFAS. Any unit that do not have 55, all right, they will need a separate certification that is P231 that certify that the unit can filter away your bacteria and virus and cysts. If they don't have 55, they will need a different certification to prove that they can really reduce the microorganism. If not, it is not proven. Okay, now these are the QR code that you can use to go straight to the search page of NSFWQA, right? You can print screen for now, later you can explore on your own. And what you do is you just key in the brand that you know and to look for it. And over here, you don't have to do it now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly just go through some of the common brands in the market for you. Number one, I've changed the name a little bit. I've changed the name a little bit. For those who are in Malaysia will probably know this brand well, SK Magician. If you go to NSF website, look for this brand, you'll find that there's no matching products found. That means it's not certified by NSF. And if you go WQA, that means you also find no result. That means, right, a lot of the claims, all the claims that they talk about is not proven. And there are many brands in the market, be it Malaysia or Singapore, that are like that. Okay? Now, second brand, Koku. I change the spelling a little bit. So when you go to NSF, you find that, not bad, got a little bit of certification. However, when you really look into the details, you will find that they only have NSF 42. That means the water that come out tastes normal, tastes good. However, they don't have 53. That means it's not certified to filter health effect contaminants. no microplastic certification, no bacteria and virus certification, no pharmaceutical certification, and no PFAS certification. Okay, so it's only for aesthetic effect. The water that comes out looks good. That's all. That's cool for you. And if you go to WQA, again, you find that there's no result. It's not certified by WQA. Third one, just now somebody asked about it. I call it Cowway, right? Another Korean brand. And if you look at NSF, you'll find that there are some certifications. However, you'll find that there are only component certification. What does that mean? Their certification, right, is only on certain components in the whole unit. Today, if I tell you my car is certified to be safe, then later only you found out that only one of the tires are certified to be safe, not the whole car. That is the same concept lah. Only a few components, and then it only says conforms to material requirements. That means they certify that of this Cowway unit, some of the components are proven to be safe. Safe means that it will not poison your water. And it doesn't say what are the contaminants that it can filter. There's no contaminant reduction claim at all. Only says this unit will not poison your water. That's all. So it is that basic. It is very, very basic, the certification. However, it becomes a hugely popular brand in the market, right? Why? Because there are many people who do not know how to search for this. And if you go to WQA, you'll find that they have relatively more certification compared to NSF, right? And these are the 9 different models in Malaysia that they're selling in Malaysia, right? If you really go into the details of the certification, you will find that out of the 9 models, there are 3 that do not have certification at all. Okay, there are 3 that don't have certification at all. But at least 6 have, right? Not bad, right? Yeah, not bad. However, when you look into the details, you'll find that it is only certified for 500 to 600 liters of usage. And there's no bacteria and virus certification, no PFAS certification. Only 5 to 600 liters of usage. To some, in some household, probably 1 month already settled, already used up. And this is another Korean brand, LGG, I call it. You know lah. If you go NSF, you find that they have certain certification. However, they only have certification for the ice maker or the water dispenser from the fridge. They do not have certification for water purifiers. They don't have certification for standalone water purifiers. And if you go to WQA again, for their water purifiers, they have some, but only certified for 700 liters or so. And there's no bacteria and virus certification. There's no PFAS certification. Another brand is called Energic. Energic is a brand that sells alkaline water. The alkaline water machine is very, very expensive, can be more than 10,000 ringgit, right? Again, if you go to NSF, you'll find that it's not certified by NSF. If you go to WQA, you'll find some certification. However, only NSF 42. No microplastic, no bacterial virus, no pharmaceutical, no PFAS, and so on. Now, this part is for our Singapore friends, right? These are some of the famous brands in Singapore. I've changed the name a little bit. I won't use the name exactly. And this is another famous brand, right? Then another famous brand. Okay. And let's go into find out whether they are certified by NSF or WQA or not. It's very simple, this one. Nothing. You cannot find any of them in any of the listing of NSF and WQA. But mind you, some of the brands, right, they actually claim that the filter that they use is certified by by NSF, certified by NSF. And that can be true. But however, whenever you're only using a component that is certified by NSF, typically the certification is only for conforms to material requirements. That means it will not poison your water. And typically it will not have any performance claim. So all these brands that you see is selling so well in our neighboring country in Singapore, the performance is not proven, put it this way, by NSF or WQA. So let's look at eSpring. When we say we have 4 different certification, if you go to NSF, you find all 4. Plus, we have full system certification. It's not just component. We have certification for all markets. That means in Malaysia, the Malaysian version also certified, the Hong Kong version also certified, the Singapore version also certified, the Taiwan version also certified, the Thailand version also certified, and so on so forth. Okay, each market may have slight variation in the version. However, all are certified, and the certification is for 5,000 liters. It's not just when you see 5,000 liter, right? It's not only certified with 5,000 liter. NSF actually tested for 120%. So that means it's tested for 6,000 liters. Okay. Now, um, so having an NSF certification, I always like to, it's just a first step. I always like to compare it to when you're having your wedding dinner. Normally, you have food tasting, right? So passing through the NSF test is like going for your food tasting session and everything tastes nice, tastes well, is okay, is good, right? Because always the food is always the most tasty during food tasting time. And during actual wedding time, whether it's okay or not, when it's mass produced, you don't know, right? So having NSF certification is like you have passed a food tasting test. But being able to maintain the certification over a long period of time, it will be the equivalent to in the future, no matter how many wedding dinner you have, every time the food to every table is tip top. Why? Because in order to maintain the NSF certification, you need to do a lot of things. Besides the initial test, every 5 years, you will need to resend your unit in for testing. If you change any of your supplier, you need to retest. If you change any of the material in your design, in your unit, you need to retest. If you change any of your manufacturing process, you need to test again, and so on and so forth. And that's why getting the certification is one thing, maintaining is the most important part. And I tell you, the previous version of eSpring that we have been maintaining the NSF certification for more than 20 years. And until today, you can still find it. And even though the new one is already out in the market. So from there, you can understand and you can appreciate the commitment of the company to maintain its performance, right? And all the time to make sure that any unit that they sell in the market all meets the performance requirement. And when you come to WQA, again, full system certification for all markets, certification for 5,000 liters. And now I want to talk a little bit more about the different technology, right? I want to use just 10 minutes to talk about this. They say their system is the best. Everybody knows the best. Everybody say their system is the best. But how do I know which brand to choose? In the market, there are RO system, alkaline, oxygen, things that say ionizer that has health, that claim that it's healthy to take their water and all that, right? So RO water, some of the common brands are Cove and also BioPure, which is Alken. Some of you talk about Alken just now, right? Now, the good thing about RO water is it's clean. The water that come out from our system is very, very clean. The not so good thing about it is that it eliminates beneficial minerals. You know, according to WHO, the mineral in the water is very important. And they have 50 years of data to show that at anywhere in the world, if you consume water that is low in mineral over a long period of time, the death rate, morbidity, the death rate of cardiovascular disease will increase. And anywhere in the world, when they consume water with high level of mineral in the water, the the death rate of cardiovascular disease will reduce. Okay. Plus, RO water usually they use membrane to filter the water, right? The pore of the membrane is so fine, so small that it gets clogged very easily. If it's small enough to filter bacteria and virus, that means it gets clogged very easily. So every time, from time to time, they'll need to do backwash to unclog the filter, right? That's why every time when you produce 1 liter of drinking water, you may you may need to use up to 4 liter of water to do backwash. That's why it wastes a lot of water. So any system that you see in the market, including some of the Singapore brands, that has two pipes. One pipe go into the unit, the other pipe coming out from the unit that has to go to drain hole, go to sink, go to toilet. Then you know that these units require backwash. And this kind of unit normally waste water. Okay. And because it's a very fine pore, so so fine that it can filter bacteria and viruses. And in the long run, it may not be effective in removing bacteria and viruses. Okay. That is why the certification, some of the certification you see is only for 500 to 700 liters. In the long run, it may not be effective. Plus, RO water normally produce water very slowly. In a day, it probably produces about 30 over liters of drinking water. Therefore, it needs to come with water tank. And when it comes to water tank, you know that it is a source of contamination. Water being stored in a tank over a long period of time. Some have hot water, some have cold water. Uh, if the filter works, that means the water generally don't have chlorine. So water without chlorine stored in a tank for a long term, uh, it is a breeding ground for microorganism, for bacteria, for virus, and so on. We'll show you a little bit later. Okay, and this is not news. This is a old. People already know since 20 over years ago. Water without calcium and magnesium increases the risk of cardiovascular disease. Long-term consumption RO water is not recommended for children. Okay, so install in your house is not good for you. This is a report from WHO, World Health Organization. Again, they say they have 50 years of data, right, to show that it is very well related to what mineral in water is very, very closely related to health, especially cardiovascular health. And it says even though drinking water is not a major source of our calcium and magnesium intake, however, the health benefits that it brings is actually very, very high in terms of percentage. Okay. So even this is it says that as medical authority, we should discourage people from drinking water without mineral because it can protect people. Because drinking water without mineral can cause chronic diseases. Okay. Next, we want to talk about alkaline water, right? Or any water system that claim that they have curative effect lah. For example, come with energy lah, got hydrogen lah, got oxygen lah. It's very important. One concept that I want to give to you is this. Um, Today, if I take a glass of water from longkang, from drain, okay, I put some soap because soap is alkaline. To make it alkaline, would you drink it? You won't drink it, right? Because why? Because it's still dirty. So the first concept they want to know is clean or not is one thing. Alkaline or not, or got health effect or not is another thing. If it is not clean, no matter what health effects that it claims, it is still bad for your body. If it cannot filter microplastic, if it cannot filter PFAS, if it cannot filter pharmaceutical, no matter what kind of health effects it claims, it is still bad for your health. Does that make sense? Therefore, before looking at any health effects, you want to look back and see whether it's certified by NSF or not, right? Okay, so some of the representative including Kangen Water that sells alkaline water, that the Energic company that we'll talk about just now, and including Koku. Koku, some of the model they say they sells mild alkaline water, right? And the water filtering ability is doubtful. Why? Because normally this kind of unit only promote the health effects of alkaline water. They don't promote how clean their water is. So water filtering ability is doubtful. And there's no credible evidence to support various health claims of this kind of water. In fact, back in 2016, Kangen Water distributors, they run into trouble with Ministry of Health in Malaysia because they claim that the water can reduce many different chronic diseases, including diabetes, cancer, stroke, gout, and so on and so forth. Okay, and they take action against the sale of Kangen Water. So in fact, in Malaysia, I'm pretty sure in Singapore it's very similar. For people who claim that the drinking water has curative effect is actually against the law. Okay, it's illegal to do that. In fact, if you look into any of these alkaline water system, look at the user manual, you will almost always find a page that says warning or caution or attention. You know what does it say? It says, do not take medication with K water. Do not drink kidney problems. If you experience any discomfort, please discontinue the use of this water and consult with your doctor. If you're under the care of your doctor, please consult with your doctor before drinking this water. If you are making baby formula or baby food, do not use this water. Wait, I only want drinking water, How come got so many different scary warning one? It sounded like a lot of things can go out of control with this water. Again, caution. If no matter what kind of alkaline water system that you see in the market, you will always find warning or caution. All the different brands will have this page. So they have themselves covered already. But the problem is the users are blindly believing that all this can give them health effects. And even when they're weak and so on, they can still drink this water. In fact, it is because people are sick that they seek for this, they look for this kind of water to drink, right? However, they're telling you that sick people, weak people cannot drink this kind of water. So does it make sense? It doesn't. It doesn't at all. In fact, alkaline water is actually a bogus, is a myth. The person that helped popularize this theory of alkaline diet, Robert O. Young, the author of pH Miracle, this book, he was actually fined over $100 million because people believe in him and delay their treatment of the cancer and so on, right? And plus another reason is because he practiced medicine without a medical license. He used a certificate or the license copy, fake license to practice medicine, and that's why he was also sent to jail. And the person who started with this theory has already gone to jail. But today there are many people who still believe that alkaline water is good for health. It's actually not true. Okay. In fact, it is because your body is weak or your organ is weak that your body becomes acidic. It is not because your body acidic, then only you become weak or unhealthy. Does that make sense? The the cause and effect, many of us have got confused. It's because your body is weak, then only your body is acidic. Not because your body is acidic that it becomes weak. Okay. Now, again, if you look at WHO, it also talks about the pH level in the water. World Health Organization says that you need to monitor the pH level in your water only for one reason, because of corrosion. When the water is too acidic, it will corrode your pipeline. That's all. And the last line of this report, it says what? No health-based guideline value has been proposed for pH. That means that there's no one healthiest pH level for your drinking water. Essentially, it's telling us that the alkalinity or acidity of the water has got nothing to do with our health. Okay? The most important thing is we want clean water. Last but definitely not least, hot and cold water. I know some people they think that water is already good. However, I just want hot and cold water and so on. But when it comes to hot and cold water, uh, eSpring doesn't come with hot and cold water. However, we don't do it is because we don't want to do it. It's not because we cannot do it. We don't do it because of three reasons. The first reason is having an extra cold water chamber and hot water chamber, it will increase your electricity bill tremendously. This is a person who installed hot and cold water unit before. The electricity bill is about 350. The day after he changed to a water purifier that doesn't have hot and cold water, the following month, his electricity bill becomes 170. Of course, this might be a little bit more extreme, a little bit extreme. However, the electricity bill of a unit with hot and cold water, a month 50 to 60 ringgit or even 100 ringgit is about there. Is about there. So in a year, it probably will cost you extra an additional 1,000 ringgit already. Some people may say, it's okay, I don't mind. I just want the convenience. No problem. However, again, a water with water tank, it may be a breeding ground, it may be a source of contamination, right? So if you open up the tank of your water dispenser or your water purifier, you will see that more often than not, there's a lot of things inside. Okay. And over here, those with water heater, you can see the water heating chamber is a bit rusty. And then the normal temperature water chamber is very dirty. You can even sign your name, right? You can even sign your name on it. It's very scary. Okay. Plus, the third issue that we don't want from our drinking water is reboiling water. When the water it keep reboiling and reboiling and reboiling, it's bad for your health. And your chamber is always in hot situation. The container of that water might leach chemical into the water as well. So because of these three reasons, we do not install hot and cold water um, in our water purifier. Plus, whenever you have a heating element in your water purifier, then chances are there may be issues, especially when nobody at home or when there's water cut, you have to be careful. Okay, there's always a chance of issue. And because of this, we don't have water and hot and cold water in our e-spring water purifier. However, if you still want hot water, you want the convenience, I actually have a solution for you. I would recommend using we call it the instant boiler, eco thermopot. Instant boiler is like a water dispenser, okay? And when you press a button, it only release 1 cup full of hot water for you, okay? And in normal times, it doesn't boil the water at all. It doesn't heat the water at all. So number one, you don't have reboiling issue. Number two, your electricity bill will be kept to a minimum because it only boils the amount that you need. You need 1 cup of hot water, it only give you 1 cup of hot water, it only boil 1 cup of hot water. It doesn't boil the whole pot. Okay, so it saves electricity. Number three is the water chamber. Normally, water chamber for this kind of water dispenser is very accessible because you can open it up. You need to fill the water with it, and every 2-3 days you can wash the water chamber one time. Then you will also avoid the contamination issue. So with a instant boiler, you can not only can have your hot water, but you can also avoid all three different just now that comes with a water dispenser. So I think it's a fantastic solution. From as far as I know, this month in both in Malaysia and Singapore, we also have a promotion that gives you um very nice water dispenser, right? And it is an instant boiler that don't have the three issues that we talk about. That's why many people who already know about this, after we told them about the issue of having a hot and cold water chamber, even though they already have an X brand, they still want to install an eSpring. Okay. Now, last but not least, we want to show to you the pricing. eSpring in Malaysia, if you buy, is 4,680 ringgit, and every year when you change the cartridge, is 595 ringgit. Okay. And let's say I've used it for 10 years, and the total cost for 10 years will be about 10,000. And per month is about 83 ringgit. Okay. If you compare to many different brands in the market, you will find that this pricing is actually very competitive. Very, very competitive, right? 83 ringgit. Plus, don't forget, the performance in terms of filtration is much, much higher than all the other brands that we talked about just now. Plus, another good thing is after sales service and spare part is guaranteed for 10 years. That means today, if you buy the new eSpring, the new eSpring is being discontinued, you can still guarantee to receive after sales service and plus spare part for another 10 solid years. So you can use for at least 10 years, that means. And I have many customers who switch to our brand, not because the water purifier is already spoiled, but because the company do not produce the replacement parts anymore, do not produce a replacement filter anymore. That's why they need to change brand, and that is when they trade in and buy an eSpring. Okay. Plus another thing that I think many people do not realize is the only contact point. In the next 10 years, if you purchase the eSpring, in the next 10 years, whatever needs that you may have, you want to buy another unit, you want to find spare parts, you want to ask for any questions, you want service, and so on and so forth, everything, you only need to call one number. But today, if you're looking for, you buy any X brand out there, to buy another unit, you probably call one number, a different person. To ask for any technical questions, you probably need to call another number, another person. To get someone to come and service you, you probably need to call another number, another person, and so on and so forth. And every time the person that come to your house and service you is a different person. Every time you have to let a stranger come into your house. And I think that is something that most people are not comfortable with. Okay, so that's why what we want is to build a long-term relationship with you. We want to be able to give you the best service in the next 10 years, and we want your usage of water purifier, right? The one with peace of mind. Where you don't have to worry about anything, where we'll settle all bao ka liao for you. Okay. Towards the end, I'd like to encourage all of you, buy a filter. Okay. Don't be a filter. Invest some money in a good water purifier. They're certified to filter pharmaceutical, microplastics, as well as PFAS. If you have 5 people in your house, it will help protect 5 pairs of kidneys in your house. Invest in a filter. Don't be a filter. With that, my sharing has come to an end tonight. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have further question, you can you can ask in the chat group. And if you don't have any more question, we can end the session tonight. Thank you very much.
Does anyone have any questions for Pei Han? Take the opportunity to ask if you have any questions, technical or about the products or market.
So now that you have the link to WQA and NSF, you can really just key in whatever brand that you see in the market, and then just look for its certification. If you cannot find, that means it is not certified, and a lot of the claims maybe is just is unproven. Yeah. Okay. If no more question, thank you very much. And I look forward to meeting and learning from all of you in our next session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pei Han.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jeannie. It's really good.
I think especially Malaysia, the market, there's a lot of potential. 加油加油.
Jaya. Thank you so much. Have a good
Bye-bye.
night now. You
You
trouble
too.
this Pei Han drink so much water. Must be so thirsty. Yeah, it's so good. Thank you. I actually got a question about the hot and cold, but he answered it already. So it's like, wow. It's very good. Very good information.
All right. I see
Good
you at the
night.
rally.
Yes, I'll see you. Bye-bye.